Man, what is happening, my YouTube family? Of course, it is your boy B New. I'm coming at you on this Monday morning. First and foremost, as always, just want to send out positive vibrations and positive blessings to anybody who could be listening right now. With all that being said, we all know that the Los Angeles Lakers were once again in action last night in the boot to take on the New Orleans Pelicans in a, I won't say highly anticipated matchup, but a very key matchup for the Lakers, considering that them and the Pelicans were right there for their 9th and 10th spot respectively, and we knew how important this game was. And the Lakers has quite a bit of time off, considering, you know, in the NBA a lot of times you don't get a 3-day rest, so they were off for 3 days, and LeBron for even more because he did not play in the last game. So as we all know, LeBron James came out and was on fire. They came out, I want to say it was like 12-2, 14-2, and they really was putting a stamp on the game. And I knew the Lakers, I think by halftime, were up by 20. But I did have some concerns going into that second half, only because LeBron James had went down with injury and really tweaked his ankle. And when he tweaked his ankle, we all know, anybody that has ever balled or, you know, tweaked their ankle, then you know the stiffness doesn't really kick in until you have a chance to not have it warmed up. So he played through the pain and continued to play. But I knew at halftime maybe that ankle wouldn't be as good as it was. And, you know, over the course of the game, you could tell. I know a lot of people online are saying, oh, it didn't matter, you know, because of course they got these LeBron James haters. But if you watch basketball, you could clearly see LeBron James was lacking the same explosion to get to the rim. And I want to say a key play in the fourth quarter when the Lakers were down by 3 with only maybe like a minute and a half. I think Malik Monk had just hit a 3 and cut it from 6-3. And then New Orleans went down and missed. And then LeBron was bringing the ball up court. If this was been in the first half, he was going to the hole, even though he was hitting threes at a high clip too, he was going to the hole with reckless abandon. He was going to the hole with reckless abandon, and he was wreaking havoc and raining terror. But in this particular instance, he could have easily beat his man off the dribble, but he did not. He elected to pass it to broke-ass Carmelo Anthony in the corner for 3. And, of course, Carmelo Anthony came up empty once again. And like I've been telling everybody, when the Lakers won the game at Toronto, they won the game at Toronto. There was no Carmelo and there was no THT. I'm just saying, DJ Augustine and Wayne Gabriel, the Lakers' late pickup in the season, should have been playing. And they were the ones who, because think about it, the Lakers haven't won back-to-back games since early January. So it's not like that they've been a good basketball team without Anthony Davis. So when this dumb Frank Vogel finally decided to start Wayne and Gabriel, he started Austin Reeves, and then they came out and was punching New Orleans in the mouth. So I beg to ask you all, why did Wayne and Gabriel not get more than 16 or 17 minutes last night, especially in key stretches? But you giving those minutes to Carmelo Anthony. Oh, he's the veteran. Oh, man, this shit not about feelings, Frank Vogel. This is about winning. This is about winning. And you choose to put Carmelo Anthony out there, who is such a big defensive liability, and your whole premise of your defensive strategy that you implement with the Los Angeles Lakers is to be able to switch 1 through 5 and switch on every pick and roll, not fight through the screens. That's your philosophy. And the Lakers have not been doing that well. They have been getting better with the lineup changes with Wayne and Gabriel in there, because he is capable of doing that. And he is going to go out and get you rebounds. So for the love of everything, why is Carmelo Anthony out there in the fourth quarter down key stretches, and you only scored 14 points in the fourth quarter? So what was the purpose of him? The 17 minutes that Carmelo Anthony had should have been 0. All of those minutes should have went to Wayne and Gabriel. He's young. He could play for that long, and that's what you do. You go out and you put the pressure on the defense. It is a crying shame that when LeBron James goes and sits down, that the Lakers cannot keep a lead or add to a lead. As soon as he sits down, then Carmelo come out here taking ill-advised shots, just coming up, don't even get into the possession. I mean, if you're up and you nursing the lead, why the hell are you coming up here only 4 or 5 seconds into the shot clock as soon as you cross half court and you just shooting up a 3? And it's contested. So I'm really trying to figure out what's going on through your brain. Is it because your minutes getting cut? Now you got to try to prove your worth, and you up here jacking up threes. You're not doing anything but missing them. And if you think about it, look at the overall stats on the game. The Lakers, I want to say, was 44 out of 91, shot 48%. No, that was New Orleans. They shot 48%. They shot 48%. The Lakers shot 53%. 53% is what the Lakers shot. Now, in three-pointers, the Lakers, they shot 14 out of 35, which was 40%, compared to New Orleans only hit 9 out of 27, 33%. But yet the Lakers still lost the game. So when you look at it from a numbers perspective, from a stat sheet perspective, to try to break down what could have happened in that game, you could clearly see, okay, the Lakers didn't lose the game by shooting too many threes, even though in the fourth quarter they were, 1 out of 11 from three. So why the hell do they continue to shoot threes when they've gone cold? I do not know. Now, in the first half, they were lighting it up from three, so that was fine. The 14 out of 35, most of those all came in the first half. Because in the second half, you got outscored 67 to 39. You got outscored 67 to 39 in the second half. Now think about it. You held them to, in the first half, 20, 40, they had 23, 26, what's that, 49. You held them to 49 in the first half. And then you come out in the third, 49 in the first half. That means the first and second quarter. And then you come out in the third quarter and let them get 41 points in the third. 41 points in the third. But yet, Frank Vogel makes no adjustments and continues to play Carmelo Anthony. Now, even Augustine, other than LeBron, nobody was hitting threes. Augustine, I want to say, was 2 out of 2 or 2 out of 3 from three. Westbrook might have been 2 out of 5, but the thing is, why not play more Augustine down the stretch? Somebody who can actually hit shots and be a floor general. Why are you playing THT? He's taking ill-advised shots. He played decent defense, but where was Austin Reeves down this stretch? That's who you came out and started the game with and was playing so well and was actually playing good defense, because it wasn't just your offense, even though the Lakers had, 69 in the first half? You had 69 in the first half and 39 in the second half. And it wasn't because of New Orleans defense. It was because you don't have the skill and the confidence enough to finish when you see that only LeBron James is the only one putting in work. And for example, Malik Monk was I want to say 7 out of 9 on 2-pointers, but then 2 out of 10 on threes. Stop shooting so many threes. If you're capable of getting to the hole and making threes, then capable of getting to the hole and scoring and beating people off the dribble, then let's see more of that. You know, as far as the assists, the Lakers had 26 assists. New Orleans had 25 assists. So that was right there. So the real key difference that was in the game was the turnovers. The Lakers, of course, careless with the ball. Not all these were just steals on the behalf of New Orleans. The Lakers, 15 turnovers, doubled up. The Pelicans only had 7. And then you look at the points off turnovers, Pelicans 21, the Lakers only 11. So that right there was the game. I didn't look up to see what the transition points were in fast break. But when you have a lot of turnovers, that leads to easy baskets. And then what's the young guy name? This guy had, I forget his name. Y'all know who I'm talking about. For New Orleans, he had 20 points through the last 3 games. And then last night, the Lakers let him get 22 or 23 points in the game. So the Pelicans were playing team ball. C.J. McCullough started getting hot. And I could see in the third quarter, as they cut the lead, I said, uh-oh. And I could see that LeBron James didn't have that same explosiveness. And I would like to see Russell Westbrook try to get to the hole more, because when he was attacking the basket, he was creating for others. But at the end of the day, not having Wayne and Gabriel in down the stretch. And I know people are going to look at me and say, Wayne and Gabriel, the Lakers are putting all their hopes in. It's not about that. The NBA is about matchups. So if anybody knew anything about basketball, I see these dumbass people on Twitter and on Facebook and all these other groups and stuff that's talking about Carmelo Anthony, they third best player, they fourth best player. You stupid if you don't think he won't play Carmelo. Man, do you even watch the games? I know what the hell going on. Carmelo Anthony is a defensive liability. I would take Wayne and Gabriel, a young 20-some-year-old player, over old-ass Carmelo Anthony any day. Carmelo Anthony plus minus for the year is a minus 50. He is a defensive liability, and if his 3 is not falling, he is useless to you. So I don't mind if you play him 5-6 minutes a night. If you can go out there and hit a couple threes, if he get it going that night, then he get it going. Then maybe let him play. But I say, like I've been saying, the Lakers should cut down to a 9-man rotation if Anthony Davis can come back. And that 9-man rotation does not include the likes of a Carmelo Anthony. It does include THT, but I say leave him out and make an 8-man rotation. Because the Lakers could easily have, I think Dwight Howard is playing good. You could start him at center, AD at the 4, LeBron at the 3, Austin at the 2, and then PG would be Westbrook. And then you would still have the ability to have Bradley come in. You would have the ability to have DJ Augustine come in for your backcourt. You would have cut THT out the picture. You would have Wayne and Gabriel who can come in and play either that 3 or 4 spot to help you out depending on how you playing small. It's just so many different ways that you could do that when you limit that rotation. And I actually would say even if really playoff rotation depending on who the Lakers are playing. But I would like to see AD come in and really play that center spot. The starting lineup I would like to see would be AD at that center spot, Wayne and Gabriel at the 4, LeBron is at his natural spot at the 3. And speaking of LeBron James, he did say, of course, he lost a lot of explosiveness last night and that ankle was not looking good. So let's just hope the Lakers got a lot of games coming up that's going to be very important. If you look at the schedule, the Lakers could very easily fall out of the 10th spot and not even make the play-in game at this point because San Antonio is nipping at their heels. San Antonio next games is Houston, Memphis, Portland again, Denver, Minnesota, Golden State, and Dallas. So if you look at that, Houston can give them a run for their money, but I doubt it. Even though Houston can show up sometimes, but it just depends. Memphis, I think, will win. They'll probably beat Portland twice. They probably lose to Denver. They probably lose to Minnesota. They probably lose to Golden State, and more than likely Dallas, depending on what Dallas is playing for. They could be resting players. Who knows how this all falls? But if anybody wants to ruin the Lakers season, then Popovich will be down to do it to win as many games as he can to get into the play-in. So if you look at those last games, like I said, San Antonio, Houston, San Antonio is playing Houston, Memphis, Portland again. You might look at Minnesota, Golden State, Dallas, and Memphis as losses. So 4 more losses for them. When you look at New Orleans, they play Portland twice. They do get another shot at the Lakers. That'll be a Lakers shot at redemption, even though they will not be able to hold the tiebreaker against New Orleans now because they've already lost the season series. But they will do themselves some help if they can beat them and give them a loss in the standings and move them up. So just depending on who New Orleans take on, because New Orleans got Portland, they should win. Clippers might give them a run for the money. Clippers have been struggling as of late, but they are still trying to hold on and get that 8th spot, which they pretty much solidified it. But who knows? I still would say the Clippers will win that game. So if the Lakers can win and then the Clippers could beat them, that would help. But then also they got Sacramento and Portland again, pretty easy games. But then they finish it off with Memphis and Golden State. Ja Morant probably won't be playing. He's resting until the playoff starts. So Memphis still, 16-2 without Ja Morant. So they should be able to take care of business. Golden State as well. So, but the Lakers, if you look at who they playing, they got Dallas, then they got Utah. They've been playing well against Utah and been beating them, so we all can see if they can win that matchup. But then they got New Orleans again, which is very important, and then they have Denver twice, which is not boding well for the Lakers, and then Phoenix, of course, which is terrible, and then OKC and Golden State. So it's not looking too good for the Lakers at all unless Anthony Davis can come back and give LeBron James some help. I know the haters would love for the Lakers not to be in the playoffs. You already got these idiots out here talking about, well, Michael Jordan with the Wizards, this was his record. Man, let these players have their own lives. Everybody want to compare, but at the end of the day, it's always not the same thing because you have so many factors that play themselves without the season. I mean, LeBron James was missing his key player the entire year. Stackhouse was with the Wizards the whole time. I mean, you talk about a 1-2 punch of that's what the Wizards were with Stackhouse and Jordan supposedly, and then of course Anthony Davis and LeBron. And Anthony Davis has missed, at least 45 games, I know. So basically half of the season. Once again, it would have been nice to see Anthony Davis come back. He came back from the knee injury, turn around and hurt his ankle. So after he came back from the knee injury, it would have been nice to see them play like the way they've been playing now and string together some victories. So it's still going to be extremely difficult, even if Anthony Davis come back, because they haven't really ever developed that cohesiveness and chemistry. So what I need for everybody to do, is think positive for the Lakers, that they can turn it around, and let's just hope that LeBron's ankle isn't too bad and he can give it a go, because they got a lot of games after that 3-day rest. They got a lot of games coming up before they even play the Pelicans. The Pelicans going to have some days off, and the Pelicans was on the second night of a back-to-back, which is terrible that the Lakers couldn't win the game, and that might be why the Lakers came out punching them in the mouth early on, and then they gathered themselves. But at the end of the day, Wayne and Gabriel needs to play more. And definitely DJ Augustine would be great down the stretches of games too. And once Anthony Davis gets back, maybe the Lakers can string some things together. Of course, at the end of the year. A lot of teams might just be resting players, so who knows? Utah may not be giving it their full effort. It just depends. But of course, if they can get rid of the Lakers, that means they know they won't have to face them in the playoffs. So whoever the Lakers are going to be going against, they are going to be getting their best effort. You can best believe that, just like the Lakers get every team best effort throughout the entire year. And that's just the way it is. The second half defense of the Lakers was just pathetic. They played good defense in the first half. They did not play any defense in the second half to give up that many points. I mean, you held them to 49 points in the first half and then give up 62nd in the second half. And a lot of that has to do with Frank Vogel and his coaching, and a lot of that has to do with the mentality of the Lakers, because LeBron James cannot do everything. He cannot do everything. I still wish that LeBron, when he kicked that pass to Melo, he still would have attacked the rim, because at the end of the day, hurt ankle or not, you still out there. So I'm not going to let LeBron James off the hook. I would like for him to attack that basket on that particular play instead of passing to Carmelo and force the referees to make a call, or either finish at the bucket like you've been doing, which you probably weren't going to get the blow by because of the lack of explosion, but you still could have tried a floater or any number of things. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. You got to put it behind you and get ready for the next game. So we all know what the Lakers got to do to be successful. So let's get behind them. And as always, we know these haters are so happy that the Lakers lost. So let's take some time out right now and send them a little bit of love. I'm out here in the mountains. I'm still on vacation, about to head back to the house here in just a little bit. So y'all wish me safe travels, and also wish me that no bears come out here and get me. But I had to come out here and do some meditating after that loss that the Lakers took on yesterday. Man, that was a tough pill to swallow. I won't even cap. But at the end of the day, man, like I said, let's send love to all these haters and right on to the real, and much love to these haters. I'm out.